change about what you did at United? Because you're never going to be able to dictate at a club like Manchester United, are you?
No, I've thought a lot about this, obviously. And as I said here before, the right thing was to sign Cristiano. But I think it would have turned out better maybe for Cristiano and for us if he hadn't signed.
Wow.
That's the headline. But
Nail on line, there we go!
Yeah, but seriously, it was the right decision to make it.
We let it happen. There's your money show.
All right. Thanks very much for sticking and staying with us. So, Ole Gunnar Solskjær, well, Ole Gunnar Solskjær. If you didn't hear him right, let me quote what Ole Gunnar Solskjær said with regards to Cristiano Ronaldo. He said that, I've thought about a lot of things. The right thing was to sign Cristiano Ronaldo, but I think it would have turned out better for Cristiano Ronaldo and for us if he hadn't signed. That's Ole Gunnar Solskjær speaking with regards to the issue of the signing of Cristiano Ronaldo. Danny, I'll start with you. Ole Gunnar Solskjær has shared his thoughts. I mean, it's an explosive interview where he shared a lot of things, but he himself said this is the headline, as you heard from the video that we played on Cristiano Ronaldo. We did a poll before we continue. We did a poll. Let me tell you what the poll said. We asked a very simple question that with Cavani, Rashford, Greenwood, and Martial already at the club, was it a right decision by Ole to re-sign Cristiano Ronaldo for Manchester United in the 2021 season? 76 people said no, and just about 24% of the people are saying yes. Danny, your thoughts on this? Was it right for Manchester United to have signed Cristiano Ronaldo, and your thoughts on what Ole said?
I think Man United needs to start taking responsibility for some of the decisions that they make. So if you listen to his full narration of the events that led to Ronaldo signing, he himself said at the beginning they didn't think Ronaldo was for sale. And we all didn't think Ronaldo was for sale. Yeah. Then it happened that he goes to Juventus, tells them he wants to leave, and then the news reaches Manchester United. And then he himself says that the board came to him and asked him, does he think that the team would need Ronaldo? And he said, yes, they should go for it. Now, that is a manager giving his blessing for a signing. We know all around the world that, look, before you sign a player, especially modern day football, before you sign a player, you should at least have an idea how you are going to fit him into the team. Yeah. So I want to give Ole the benefit of the doubt that he knew exactly how he was going to integrate Ronaldo, how he was going to put Ronaldo in his system that would work at the end of the day. And he said yes, and Ronaldo came in. And first season Ronaldo plays for Man U, he's voted by the fans, not anybody else, but Manchester United fans as the best player, finishes as the top goal scorer at the end of the season. Now, guys, this is what I don't understand. When Ole adds the Cavani factor, I want to give him the benefit of the doubt and say maybe because he was sitting with his boys and he was chatting, maybe he forgot some certain details. But if Ole wants to truly tell us that Cavani is the one who suffered because he was finally being able to understand how the team was playing and then Ronaldo comes in, then it's either Ole didn't have a clue about the team he was managing or he's just flat out incompetent. Because Cavani was basically injured the entire time Ronaldo was there. Cavani had suffered his first season through injury. In fact, if you remember, he only started playing, getting to the tail end of the season, the Europa League, leading up to the final. Yeah. That's when he sort of regained full fitness. If you remember the AS Roma game, that's when it looked like finally the Cavani deal was beginning to make sense. And now this is when I say Man United needs to take responsibility, this is what I'm talking about. It's not like Cavani's injury problem started happening when he came to Man United. He had missed 6 months of football the time he was at PSG before they eventually canceled his contract. Then Man United goes to take on this burden. Then he comes in. His first season goes according to what everybody expected. He's always injured. Second season is even worse because he played less games in the second season because of unavailability. Not because Ronaldo was there. Because he was just flat out injured. Then the manager comes to tell us that Cavani suffered most. So he's telling us that when Ronaldo jujued Cavani or something, and all of a sudden Cavani started getting injured. Because how do you plan with a player who is constantly injured? And if anything, Ole should rather be saying that Ronaldo's coming saved Man United from suffering from the unavailability of Cavani, because that's what happened the previous season in terms of our goal scoring. When he came back to full fitness in the last 2-3 months of the season, we all saw how good the team will look like when he's fit. If you remember, the last game at Old Trafford, when he scored that chip from the center, that game had basically all the elements that we had wanted. It had Pogba in there, it had Bruno in there, it had Rashford, it had Cavani. And all of us were dreaming that next season would be good if Cavani would be fit. Then Ronaldo comes in, Cavani is injured basically the whole time. And then what happened. Now Ole is telling us that Cavani suffered most. For me, it doesn't add up. And this is why I always want Man United fans to look at the facts. Don't look at narratives. Because we're the same people who voted Ronaldo as the best player for the season. Then all of a sudden, we go into the off-season break. Preseason is about to start. The media starts pushing a certain agenda. And we are the same people who 2 months ago voted him as the best player and finished as our top scorer, and now branding him as the problem for our team. Lastly, before I finish, the season that Ronaldo came, okay, he was our last signing. We had looked at the season before, had run a diagnosis of where our problems were, and we went to sign Varane, another injury-prone player, and Jadon Sancho. Both Varane and Sancho had terrible first seasons at Man United. So in essence, the two players that Man United needed came into the team and flat out flopped in their first season. The one they didn't need came in, finished as top scorer, and was voted by fans as the best player. Yet 2 months later, he was branded as the problem. It makes sense for me.
Well, that's a very interesting narrative. But Danny, that's just an aspect of it. Now, Ole was looking at it, I think, in a holistic manner. But before I get to you, let me take that to Kwame. Kwame, Ole was looking at it from a holistic point of view, where I think there were even specific things about tactics changing to suit Cristiano. I mean, due to the fact that Cristiano was aging and wasn't as in terms of the ability to press and all of that. I mean, there were a lot of conversations regarding that. Kwame, let's look at it from the general perspective. Do you think the signing, and as Ole put it, wasn't meant to be?
Ole Gunnar Solskjær never blamed Ronaldo for our problems. He never did that. He never said that. He only stated the fact that it didn't work. That is not about second coming sometimes. Not every second coming is meant to be. You saw that with Paul Pogba. We've seen that with so many second comings. You just don't do it sometimes. And we did it when we didn't need another forward. The reason why I say this is that you have to go back to Ole's two most successful seasons where we came second and third. He did it with a youthful front line. Second season, Cavani came along as a 34-year-old to give a helping hand. You had Rashford score about 40 goals in those 2 seasons, if I'm not mistaken. Martial scored about 30 goals in those 2 seasons. Greenwood had just come into his own, scoring about 18 goals the season before. Cavani scored 13 goals thereabouts in the season preceding the one that we signed Ronaldo. This club shouldn't be signing 34-year-olds in the first place. Then an opportunity comes for them to sign a 37-year-old, one of the greatest football players, for me, the greatest football player that has ever existed. And we jump at it, despite the fact that that wasn't an area that we needed to address. This team didn't lack goals. We had goals. That window, the midfield, the player we couldn't sign, aside Varane and Sancho, was a defensive midfielder. We overlooked that, and then we jumped at an opportunity to sign another striker to add up to our already existing firepower up front. It's rather turned out to be a disaster rather than be a blessing. Whatever we're expecting from Ronaldo in terms of how he's going to influence the young players to get better, it created a situation in the dressing room. And I think that's what Ole Gunnar Solskjær is actually referring to. The environment in the dressing room whilst Ronaldo came in there. He did not want to manage Ronaldo the way Ronaldo was managed. He felt, like he said, he had a conversation with him before he signed that he would play a certain number of games and you would expect to rest him. I think 3 games in and then he goes 1 game off thereabouts. I'm thinking he was thinking of the other 34, 35-year-old, giving that player some sort of game time. If you can remember, Cavani had to give up his number 7 jersey. He was the number 7 at the club. He came off a relatively good season and had to give it up to Ronaldo. In his own right, he would consider himself to be a big player. If you can remember what happened to him before he came to Manchester United at PSG with Neymar and Ego. What happens is, I think the environment in the dressing room became toxic in the sense that you have two giants looking for the same sort of playing time. Then again, the other young players, Ronaldo did not fit in particularly well with them. We saw the combination of Greenwood, Martial, and Rashford the season before. And it was something that was brewing. But then Ronaldo comes in and it just doesn't fit. We got rid of a functional player, Dan James, brought in Sancho, who we all thought was supposed to be a substitute, an option in the right wing. But then Ole then tells us that he's somebody who preferred to play off the left. All I'm saying is it just created a whole imbalance. It may have created so many problems in the dressing room. He's talking about leaks. Who knows? These leaks may have been as a result of these kind of things that I'm talking about, these kind of problems that I'm talking about. Ultimately, what happened was that the impact that we expected Ronaldo to make as a signing come the end of the season, despite being our top goal scorer, despite being voted as our best player, we did not make it past the quarterfinals of the Champions League. That's the highest we've ever gotten since post-Alex Ferguson. We did not win a trophy. We did not qualify for the Champions League. We don't make the top 4 at the end of the day. You put everything in totality and you say to yourself, well, the signing did not work. This is not the kind of impact that Ole Gunnar Solskjær was expecting. On top of all that, he would conclude that it did not work because 6 months into the job that season, he lost his job. He got fired. He can't come and sit here and then tell us it worked. It did not. He lost his job. The club did not achieve its goals whilst Ronaldo was there. We went backwards rather than go forward. So at the end of the day, it simply did not work. I think that's just all that he's saying. And you have to go back. Ferguson's time, we are not signing a 34-year-old, 35, 37-year-old man at Manchester United. When we signed the likes of Larsson and Michael Owen, they were supposed to be third and fourth options just in case things aren't going well. They just fill in the gap, provide the experience. But over the past 11 years, you've signed a 35-year-old Zlatan Ibrahimovic, a 34-year-old Edson Cavani, a 37-year-old Cristiano Ronaldo. And ironically, these 3 players have actually been some of the best forwards at our club. If these 3 players are your best forwards over the past 11 years, it should come as no surprise as to the fact that we have not been successful over the past 11 years. Because these players, at those ages, were past their best. Tell me the truth, Kwame. How do you feel? Do you think Harry Kane would not have been a Manchester United player if Alex Ferguson had coached us over the past 10 years? We'd have signed him 6 years ago. Exactly. But we went off that track and then we started signing players who are past their best on huge wages. We had to get rid of Ronaldo as a club. I always say it's not Erik Ten Hag that got rid of Ronaldo. It's a club that decided to get rid of Ronaldo. Because when you consider everything we are going through right now, financial fair play-wise, that window in particular, Jadon Sancho, Rafa Varane, Cristiano Ronaldo, in hindsight, it's a complete disaster. And it's what is happening, having a rippling effect on our financial fair play situation right now. We are gradually getting rid of those from that window. It started with Ronaldo. You've seen it to Jadon Sancho. I told you in the summer that this player, he's been marked down to be gotten rid of. And Erik Ten Hag would have to find a way of getting rid of him. Rafa Varane has an option where we can extend his contract. The club is clearly not going to take up that option. They're just going to be wiped off. We pretend that window never happened, and we try and maneuver our way around it. It simply did not work, Kwame. The fact of the matter is, it did not work. Period.
It just did not work. Danny, I'll just give you some 2 minutes. I see you were just noting a few things in your head before we move on to the next issue of recruitment. I don't know what do you have to say, Daniel?
It's for me. It's how the narrative is being shaped. That's what I don't understand. Okay, because why did you bring in players are like puzzles? Okay, the team or the system at the end of the day is how nice or how complete the puzzle will look like. So somebody comes to doing a part, somebody else comes to do a part.
Yeah.
So if I come in and I do exactly what you brought me in to do,
Yeah.
but the rest fail to do it, and the puzzle is not complete at the end of the day, you can't phrase it that my coming didn't work. That's what I want us to. It's two very different things. It's like I'm even finding it difficult to find an example. Ronaldo came into Man U to do a certain job. And in fact, when he came, only made a very distinct statement. He said we were struggling to kill off games the season before. Very fine margins, games where United will dominate, will create opportunities. Yet, because we didn't have a recognized center forward, somebody who was a pure finisher, we were unable to do so. It started getting better when Cavani was coming at the tail end of the season. But even that, you need consistency. So Ronaldo came to do a certain job. And what was his job? To kill off games, to win games, to score goals. He did his part. The rest of the puzzle didn't work out. Sancho flopped. Maguire had a terrible season. Rashford decided that he won't play again. Martial also decided he won't play again. Like it was just catastrophic. Nobody else was playing football, probably except Bruno and Ronaldo. And for me, that is where the problem is. So when everything like that happens, and at the end of the day, you say it is Ronaldo's coming that didn't work. For me, I still believe that if Ronaldo didn't come and the rest of the players still play the way they did, United still wouldn't have succeeded. It's just convenient because it's a big name and it's an opportunity to make headlines or something like that. Because for me, it doesn't really make sense. Ronaldo came to do a job. Yeah. He did his job. But unfortunately, in football, you doing your job doesn't guarantee that. It's like Kante will play well, but Chelsea will lose. Then we'll say that it didn't work because Kante played. No, he still did his job. Yet other people failed. And that's what happened at Man United. But well, it's Ronaldo. Look.
Just a quick response to that. Just a quick response to that, then a quick response. He did not plan to have Ronaldo there. It's like this. You see, he has his puzzle figured out all summer, and 7 days to the end of the window, we have to bring in Cristiano Ronaldo. I feel like he just thought it's an opportunity I can't turn down, but I don't really have a plan for Ronaldo. What I'm trying to say is, Ronaldo scored 24 goals thereabouts at the end of the season. The only player to have scored 18 goals, league goals for us since Van Persie. Yeah. Right? Ronaldo could have even done better if Ole Gunnar Solskjær actually had a proper plan for Ronaldo. That's what I'm trying to say. See, the thing is, there is no way I see this as a knockdown on Cristiano Ronaldo. That's unfortunately how people are looking at this. If from the beginning of that very summer, Ole Gunnar Solskjær planned that I need a different centre forward. And that player has to be an elite centre forward like Cristiano Ronaldo, despite his age. And he's the key to making this team better, getting us to the next level. He would have figured out exactly how to play. Probably he would not have even decided to play the kind of football he tried to play in the very last season that I think got him fired. We're playing counter-attacking football for 2.5 seasons. Yeah. Then he decides that he wants to play a high-pressing kind of football.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? If he had not decided to play that type of football and reverted to a different style of football, which he had pre-planned before Ronaldo was signed, Ronaldo would have scored probably twice the number of goals that he did score. So it's just relative success on the player's part that he scored those number of goals. Yeah. But in terms of team success, which is the ultimate, it did not work. And I feel that's just what he's saying. It just did not work. And the reason why he would say it did not work is it got him fired. His decision to actually, he lost his job. So if I lost my job, how can I come and then say it worked? Even half of Ronaldo's goals that he scored during the season wasn't even because he was coaching the team.
Yeah.
Ronaldo went on to do what Ronaldo did. Yeah. I feel he could have done a lot better if the team played for him. We had a system that actually suited Cristiano Ronaldo. I feel he did suffer as a player because of it. Yeah. At the end of the day, his reputation was also hit because of it. Ronaldo could still be playing in Europe if not for what happened at Manchester United, where everybody then branded him a finished player. Yeah. You get what I'm trying to say? So for both parties, it did not work in Ronaldo's favor. And of course, for the club, it also did not work.
All right. Okay. So let's, I mean, if we talk about Cristiano Ronaldo, we talk and it never ends. But I want us to marry two things. He talked about recruitment. I want us to look at it in relation to what the new ownership is trying to do. Danny, you've seen a lot of the things that INEOS is trying to do, trying to get in appointments. I remember I've had an argument with you about structure and the fact that
And who won?
no, let me clarify it. You
Okay.
said there was no structure. I said
Yes.
there was a structure, but the issue is about functionality of the structure. So it's not about who won. It's about setting the argument very, very well. And I mean, putting things into proper perspective. Now, there is a structure. There is a football director. There are technical directors and there's a recruitment team and all of that. Ole mentioned and talked about the number of vetoes and the people working around. And it was about 4 people having veto, about 3 or 4 people having veto as to which player to come and which player not to come. Now, what
The
INEOS
owner
is
himself and the recruitment team.
the recruitment team, including then
The owner and then himself, the coach.
So 3 groups of people making that decision. Now, INEOS is trying to streamline things. Now, Sir Jim Ratcliffe has talked about the environment and getting the best in class to handle things. Now, let me pick your thoughts on what the current ownership is trying to do to sort of counteract what existed during the time of Ole up until even now, where Ten Hag is coach and John McDougall is the director of football.
For me, it's not even since the time of Ole. I think since Ferguson left, since David Gill left his post, United haven't had a correct football-minded CEO, and that has been a problem.
Yes.
Now, the first thing INEOS for me, and you know, I've been very switched off for Man United for a while, but when I got that notification on my phone from the app saying we had gone to poach the Manchester City CEO, I sat up, because for me, that has been what Man United has had to do for the past like 10 years. Get somebody who's proven at the top of the business, who knows exactly what he's about. And that's what you and I, that's basically the argument we were having at the start of the season. Yes, if you want to ask, does Man United have a technical director? Yes, they do. Do they have a sporting director? Yes, they do. But they are not functional. And for me, the way I saw it was, it's like having millions of money in your account, but your account is frozen. You don't have money then because you can't spend it. Having money is the ability to go out and spend and do what you want. But if that has been taken away from you, you can't stand somewhere and say you have the money. So that was the problem for me. And we've seen INEOS has come in. It hasn't taken long. They've gotten rid of all these people that we were all complaining about. Because in terms of doing the actual job, they really don't have an idea. And it was feeding into the sort of players we were buying. So people will brand me, I'm a hater, I don't like the team. But look, there are some signings that when you see, you can just clearly tell that, look, these are a group of people who have no idea what they are doing. And it started from the beginning. I was probably, and I'll not say probably, I was the biggest advocate for Erik Ten Hag. I started a campaign in 2019, his last but one season at Ajax. I went on Twitter, I said, if Man didn't sack, if I wanted 2 things, for Man to sack Ole and hire Ten Hag immediately. When that didn't happen, I went on another tirade. If Man United were going to interview a group of managers and Ten Hag wasn't part, I was not going to come back to the team because I strongly believed in the manager and his ways. But there's one thing having a manager, there's another thing having a structure. Look, you will never know the sort of manager Pep will be if he didn't have Chiki Bergistan. Because
100%.
his boss, who will be able to bet the sort of signings he wants, will be able to let him prove why he needs this player at this time. And that's something that Man United fans need to understand. Sometimes the timing of certain players is also the key. It doesn't mean the player is not good, or it doesn't mean the player will eventually not become good. But is he necessary at this time based on the needs of the team? That's the point. Man United have done a lot of wrong things. And for me, when I look at the job that INEOS has done with Ojinis, I'm not necessarily talking about results on the pitch, but how they went about their recruitment, it makes footballing sense. And for me, for a club like Man United, look, when you are blessed with money, you are blessed with power. Sometimes you just need this. You just need the brain up here to steer things. And that's what we've been lacking for a long time. So for me, I genuinely feel against popular sentiment, United fans were angry that the Sheikh didn't come. I remember I mentioned to you on a space that I even had a very bad feeling about the Sheikh. Because when you look at the people who were reporting from him, they were talking about bringing in Neymar. He wants to bring Mbappe. It was basically what Man United have been doing in the previous years.
That is not what we needed.
What we needed to bring is, look, we needed a teacher. We needed a headmaster, somebody to come and bring proper structure and proper discipline in the team. And for me, what INEOS has done, I'm not going to jump the gun, but they started really, really well. But it's not going to be a 6 month something. It's going to take time. And for me, I think the quicker they get some of these top functioning guys at the top, I think it could even have a very telling impact on the sort of transfer window we'll have in the summer. Because for me, I always, guys, and I said it on the last time I was here, Man United are one transfer window, just one transfer window away from showing real progress. That thing is a fact. One, if we can enter a transfer window and we address the needs of the team, buy players who are fitted to a defined system, look, we can compete. And in saying that, I'm sure we'll come to Ten Hag. In saying that, he himself is becoming suspect. Because if they don't get people in there to quickly help him, he alone has proven to me he can't handle it. He's not equipped to handle it.
Well, but you spoke of Ten Hag. We have just about 6 minutes. Talk about Ten Hag. I mean, there's been a lot of let's go, let him remain. For me, I've been telling Kwame this. Ten Hag out, Ten Hag in is so much noise to me. But getting the things at the top, because anytime Sir Jim Ratcliffe has been asked about the future of the coach, and he's not been asked once, but twice. I've seen it on 2 different occasions. He's talking about the environment and the fact that good coaches have been at United, but the environment that they've worked in hasn't been the best. And you've analyzed very well what we need, the fact that we need a headmaster and someone to just keep everybody in line within the structure to be able to work. But I don't know what you make of this whole Ten Hag in, Ten Hag out argument that's ongoing. Do you really think Ten Hag should stay, or should he leave? Or does he leaving or staying actually solve the problem?
I think, look, it will be very unfair, and I think everything has a ripple effect. A good system brings the best out of a player, and a good structure also brings the best out of a manager. So
that is a headline. That is a headline.
You have to repeat that.
That is a headline. Say it again.
That's the headline right there.
A good system brings the best out of a player, and a good structure also brings the best out of a manager.
That's it.
So it's the reason why most elite managers were running away from the Chelsea job last time around, because they knew from the interviews they could tell. So you see, initial talks with Nagelsmann, he says he doesn't want it. Luis Enrique goes, he says he doesn't want it. It will take somebody very bold.
It was also the reason why LVG advised Ten Hag not to take the job.
Exactly. And Mourinho has alluded to some of these things in the past. So it is true, the structure at the top will not help the manager. But my point is, when I look beyond recruitment, I look beyond management, and I look purely at coaching, Ten Hag himself hasn't done too good for himself. Because my point is, look, we've seen some of these problems from last season. The spaces between the lines, how easy it is for Man United to concede chances, how the amount of shots that we concede, all these things have been there. And you would think that with the tools he has, maybe he'll be able to fix it to some extent, not completely, but at least show us that he has the ability to change it to some extent. He's done some good things, I'll not lie. But on the grand scale of things, when I look at purely coaching, and especially from this season's point of view, he's not giving me too much to back him. But when I look at his body of work as a manager and what he did with a proper structure at Ajax, that's when I'll calm down and say, maybe I'll give him
the benefit of doubt.
When INEOS brings in the right people, he gets a proper transfer window to be able to navigate things. Then I'll probably judge him on that, and then we'll see. But to sack him right now, for me, I think it will be jumping the gun, although I'm not happy with what he's doing now.
Kwame, in 2 minutes, let's wrap it up. We can't even add any more to.
I can't add any more to what he said. Honestly, I can't. He's basically said it. He said everything. Like, I mean, get him the right structure. Let's see how he does. So he has just 1 more year on his contract. Let's just see his body of work after 3 years. under a structure that is quite similar to what he had at Ajax. And if he doesn't pull his weight, you just pull him out of there and tell him, you just couldn't do the job, and then we bring in our own man. It's just as simple as that. But I also think that INEOS would not probably be able to get everybody that they want in on time because of this gardening leave. Omar Berrada will probably have to start work after the summer. Ashworth probably will have to start work after the summer. The only person they can get in is probably somebody with recruitment now, somebody who knows something about recruitment to help with player purchases. But then again, that also depends on, Danny spoke about getting an absolute perfect window. To get an absolute perfect window, we have to navigate FFP some way, somehow. Because that seems to be restricting a lot of clubs right now. If you are able to find a way around it, give it a right good go in the summer, he may have a better season than he actually is having now.
Okay. Sir Jim Ratcliffe, I was about to say Sir Ten Hag. Sir Jim Ratcliffe says give him 3 years. 3 years. 3 years. He says
him Ratcliffe 3 years, not Ten Hag. Him Ratcliffe.
No. Him Ratcliffe. He says give him just 3 years. He's going to sort things out. Guys, Danny, we'll have to do this again.
Yeah, Kwame, just give me a minute.
Yes.
In fact, 30 seconds.
Yes.
For those of Man United fans who haven't watched the Ole Gunnar Solskjær interview, I need them to try and watch the full clip. For me, what did it for me? I've actually watched it twice today. Just so that I'll not miss any angles. And for me, the part that completely killed me was when he was asked about his sacking. And he said he knew at halftime of the Watford game that he was going to be sacked. And his team talk was that he asked the players who was playing, who didn't want to play. He had some hands up. He made the substitutions. If we go back, guys, we were 2-0 down at halftime.
Yes.
Watford were in the relegation zone.
Yeah.
This is Man United. What we needed to do was score one goal in the first 5 minutes and we're back in the game. And the manager is telling us that he had given up at halftime, 2-0 down to a relegation team. I was United.
Nice.
I will call him, I'll sack him, I'll cut ties with him so he doesn't have any influence in any of the squad members. Because that's the sort of mentality we are trying to rid of our club. 2-0 down against relegation team and you've given up. It's not serious.
Thank you guys. It's been great having you. It's been great. Remember to subscribe and hit the notification bell. We are out of here. United Today continues tomorrow. Please remember to join us on this channel. We are on every day bringing you United Today. Thank you, Kwame. Thank you, Danny. We'll do this again some other time. Have a great time and enjoy yourselves.